Tired of doom scrolling? Time for a dose of awesome. 5 Good News Stories is your happy place, where underdogs become champions, crossing guards become legends, and impossible dreams come true. We're serving up 5 fresh reasons to believe in humanity. From world records to cute animal stories, to that guy who turned his pizza shop into a homeless shelter. These are the stories that'll make you go, wait, what? That's amazing! Ready for your good news fix? Follow 5 Good News Stories wherever you get your podcasts, because let's face it, we could all use more awesome in our lives. The number 5 Good News Stories.
It is the world's most secretive election. When a pope dies, ancient traditions begin. A silver hammer, a destroyed ring, over 100 cardinals locked away from the world, choosing the next leader of 1 billion faithful. White smoke. The path to a new pope, from Calaroga Shark Media, wherever you get your podcasts.
Calaroga Shark Media.
Finally home, Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. The media has changed so much. John Mulaney, as part of his press tour, I mentioned, he did CBS This Morning, and I'm like, that just seems weird to me. But we've lived so long that it also seems weird to me that John Mulaney did Rolling Stone. Like in 1985, John Mulaney's on the cover of Rolling Stone. Let me see what he's up to. A Van Hagar article. I'll read that. Can't believe David Lee Roth quit the band. Shocking. Anyway, Mulaney talked to Rolling Stone. They tell us it's the last word column where pop culture icons reflect on their work, success, and the lessons they've learned along the way. Okay. John said, please feel free to include literally anything we discussed because it'll be far more interesting than anything about my career. They asked John what are the important rules that he lives by. His answer, never plan more than 3 months in the future. Live by, not work by. Don't eat crackers or anything like that in bed. Even if you keep the plate right under your chin, they'll end up at your feet. And an easy one, but nobody knows nothing. No one's an expert. We have a complete inability to ever discuss scenarios that actually will happen, and we're off on the wrong thread. He told an example. One of my first agents, we had a call in 2005 with ABC. They were hearing pitches from comedians that were 23 years old, and I asked him what kind of shows do they want, and he paused and said, they want hits. And that really stuck with me, like, oh, right, they just want whatever would work. And they want the thing that no one else would do that it seems like it won't work, but then works. I used to laugh when I was younger. People would be like, is your girlfriend pretty? I'd be like, what kind of question is that? No. All I can get is trolls. I'm lucky I even have this one. Mulaney said the horse being loose in a hospital joke was about Trump, but it's more about a joke about how we're not good at predicting anything. 7 minutes before 9/11, we're all looking for Chandra Levy. We're just not really on it. We've never been on it. I guess there were these psychics back in the day that would make their New Year's predictions. Some of them won't come true, but that's probably not true either. Best advice John Mulaney ever received. My dad told me if you're on the phone with someone in a business conversation and you don't like what they're saying or how they're countering, just say nothing. Silence makes people crazy. They'll pause waiting for you to talk. You won't. Then they'll continue to talk and they'll go, are you still there? And you go, uh-huh. And then they'll start talking again. And he goes, they'll probably walk back everything they said or meet you at the terms you wanted, or they might even go above what you wanted because they're so uncomfortable. John admits to trying that in his career and it working. Worst advice John Mulaney ever get. I won't name them, but in 2015, an extremely powerful person in Hollywood was telling me that I always have to own all my IP, which is not possible. And the guy's looking at me and he goes, I know people who are famous and not rich and they're miserable, and I know people who are rich and not famous, and I, John Mulaney, say, and they're happy. And he goes, no, they're miserable. And he looks at me and goes, you need both. You need to be rich and famous. It was like a parody of meeting this person. I was like, is this a cutscene from The Devil's Advocate? Good question here from Rolling Stone. What advice would you give to 2008 John Mulaney, who's auditioning for SNL and working on his first special? The advice, as soon as you're ready to leave SNL, stay one more year. I wish I had. I didn't realize that when you feel burnt out is not the moment to make a decision like that. In terms of other stuff, there were a lot of twists and turns in my life after that, but I don't know if the advice would have stuck. Funny answer here. What do you wish somebody would have told you about being a celebrity growing up? Mulaney said, I would have said to my child self, it's exactly like you picture it. And I would have said to my 20-year-old self, it's exactly like you picture it. Best and worst parts of success. Mulaney said the best part's easy. It's what you think. The worst part is your instincts were rewarded, but your instincts aren't always right. John, do you get imposter syndrome? No. Listen, one of my problems is not that I don't feel really at home doing entertainment. I have other problems. Then they talked about the infamous Rehab, skipping ahead. And have you heard of Chekhov's gun? This is Chekhov's podcast. Mulaney said, I like David Lee Roth's bluegrass albums of covers, which is called Strummin' with the Devil from 2006. I'm embarrassed to say it's kind of in my shuffle. Terry Gross had Bill Burr on her NPR podcast. Good question. Bill, does this special mark a change in your public or private self? The topic, and I've been talking about this all week, kind of the new Bill Burr. Burr said it's something I've kind of been going towards, but like most people that get on stage, they sort of watch what you do and then think this little sliver of you is what you are or whatever. Like the Rolling Stone thing saying that I was the king of rage comedy, and it's in Rolling Stone, so everybody listens to it. So then they think I'm just walking around just furious all the time. It's two-dimensional. I'll jump in there. I've been in the podcasting industry getting a fair amount of attention in the first quarter because I have the Substack and it's free and link in the show notes. And I've been, as I call it, throwing fastballs on the Substack. I'm commenting on the podcasting industry and I'm just throwing heat, nothing but heat. And people are paying attention. And then as I wrote in the Substack, when you go, hey, look at me, you can't be upset that people are looking at you. However, then I get invited on podcasts about podcasting. And the first thing I say is, I'm glad we're here to have a nuanced conversation so you can hear the tone of voice and don't think I'm walking around kicking garbage cans all day going, I can't believe everybody's making video podcasts. Grr. I'm not like that at all. So I totally hear what Burr is saying about your public persona, including Johnny Mac, who is 99% John McDermott. I'll explain. Johnny Mac clearly doesn't like Adam Sandler movies, right? John McDermott also doesn't like Adam Sandler movies, but I don't walk around going all day, I can't believe Netflix gave Adam Sandler another deal. I just don't care and I move on with my life. But, it's a podcast. I'm trying to be entertaining, so maybe I ramp it up a little bit. Back to Burr. There's also part of me that really hates the fact that I've been so angry and had a temper and stuff. It was never something I wanted to be. It's something I grew up with. And, you think to yourself, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to be this person because they're making me feel bad as a kid. And then you grow up and you end up, it's a weird thing. Gross asked, so who's the person who told you? Was it your wife, a therapist? Burr said, everybody in my life. Everybody. People reviewing my act, my wife, Like you can only argue a point for so long. When 100 people in the row are going like, nah, you're pretty angry. Good stuff. I haven't been able to listen to that one yet, but it's definitely in my queue. Good show in Los Angeles tonight is a benefit concert called Let's Get L-Aid. Get it? L-Aid? Yes. It will combine stand-up comedy and live music. It's at the United Theater. Weird Al, Margaret Cho, Bob the Drag Queen, Al Jardine. As I've joked before, I assume it's the Beach Boys Al Jardine and not some comedian off my radar. Alex Edelman, Chris Fleming, Eric Idle, Maria Bamford, Mark Proch, and Neil Hamburger will make appearances. Other guests include Paul Schaefer, Peter Asher, Puddle's Pity Party, Reggie Watts, Rufus Wainwright, and Tim Heidecker. That is a great, great lineup. A night of music and comedy for LA wildfire relief. Proceeds will benefit firefighters who battled the various fires, as well as those who've been displaced. The Houston Press caught up with Tom Papa and asked Tom about growing up in New Jersey. And this is such a stereotypical New Jersey question that I love that the Houston people asked it. Tom Papa, being from New Jersey, how much was Bruce Springsteen shoved in your face? Tom Papa said, it didn't feel shoved as so much as it was a presence like everything else. You had the skyline of New York in the distance, the Jersey Shore waiting down south, and Springsteen was the soundtrack everywhere he went. When I was in high school, he was hitting the peak of his fame, so it was kind of cool. Yeah, Papa's my age, so yeah, born in the USA, big. Then Springsteen had the Lost Years, then the big reunion in 2000. I know I personally won tours, saw 12 shows. You drive up and down the Garden State Parkway in the summer listening to Bruce, it just sounds right, absolutely. Papa says, New Jersey's always been a punchline. I always said the reason I was a comedian is you had to have a good sense of humor about yourself being from New Jersey. What music is Tom Papa listening to? He says he still listens to R.E.M. and Prince, but he's left Culture Club and Duran Duran in the 80s. Dude, Duran Duran is fantastic. Tom, put on Rio and Hungry Like the Wolf. Come on. Those are bangers, as the kids say. Tom also loves Run DMC and Public Enemy, but says, now, I guess jazz is the thing. I listen to that now, but I would hope that the young Tom would understand that someday he'd actually understand jazz. Grab your phone. It's time for March college basketball. You know how that rolls. Yeah, I'm working from home. Yeah, I'm totally not watching the games. I'm totally working. Nothing beats March basketball. Bring the fun of a bracket to every game day by making entries on Underdog. Underdog is one of the leading sports apps, and you can play it now in your state. Do you want to win up to 1,000 times your money? You can with Underdog. Who do you go for? Do you like the favorites or do you like riding, no pun, one of those underdogs? A 16, that's always fun. And it's always fun to have some extra interest in the game. Pick a player and go higher or lower on one of their stats, including points, assists, rebounds, and more. Underdog has all your favorite leagues, teams, and stars to choose from. You can create entries with all basketball selections or mix and match across other sports. You can play with as little as $1, and if you get everything right, you can win up to 1,000 times your money. So turn $1 into $1,000 just with your hoops knowledge. You've heard me talk about this. I'm in the comfy chair. I've got my phone. I'll put on a game. I pick a player. I go higher or lower. I think for basketball, I'm kind of a lower guy. Download the Underdog app and sign up now using the promo code DCN to unlock a special offer of up to $1,000 in bonus credits when you make your first deposit. Join in on the fun when you sign up with promo code DCN. Claim your special offer today and get up to $1,000 in bonus credits instantly upon first deposit. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus, Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus, Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Void where prohibited. Terms apply. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. Arizona, 1-800-NEXT-STEP, 1-800-639-8783, or text NEXT STEP to 53342. In New York, call the 24/7 HOPE line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. Underdog app, promo code DCN. Kevin Hart has revealed that he's traded in jeans for all pants, all slacks after turning 40 years old. He was on with Jennifer Hudson, and he said, "I'm over 40. I feel like a good pant is necessary. Jeans aren't the same. Jeans hurt and are not comfortable." Sam Morrell talked about the Errors tour to WAMC. He's on a bus. Sam says, "It's a pretty efficient way to travel because you see what happens with airplanes now and just the stress of missed flights and all that. You eliminate that, so that's nice." When my daughter was in school in Chicago, I used to drive from New Jersey to Chicago. People thought I was insane. And I'm like, dude, by the time I get to the airport and the delays and all that, I'm halfway there anyway. And that's when I would catch up on my podcast. I would like to drive to Chicago right now. I could listen to Bill Burr with Terry Gross. Sam talked about the country at this particular moment in time. Send your letters to Sam Morrell. He said, you see how toxic everything is on the internet and how bad everything is on the news and how mean and racist everyone is on Twitter. And then you go into like a cafe and you're like, I think it's all right. It's confusing because you just go around. Things seem to be okay, but things are tough. From Chortle, Phil Wang is going to host the BAFTA Games Awards for the second year in a row. Video games we're talking about here. Phil said, "I'm so thrilled to be returning as host of this year's BAFTA Games Awards. Last year's show was such an uplifting celebration of this incredible industry, blah, blah, blah. I played games all my life, and these awards feel like my opportunity to thank the people who made them. Because of games, I never had time to learn the guitar well enough to play at house parties, and I think that is a public service. Thank you, games." C2E2 2025 announced their comedy track. C2E2 will be in Chicago April 11th through 13th. Maybe I'll do one of those 12-hour drives. Who knows? Patton Oswalt will be on the main stage Friday, April 11th, 8 p.m. Also doing an appearance, Second City's live improv group. That's exciting. And that's your comedy news for today. If you enjoy the program, tell a friend about it. They might like it too if you would like the program without commercial interruption. If you're on Apple Podcasts, click that banner that says uninterrupted listening. If you're not on Apple Podcast, click the link in the show notes. You can go to calaroga.com/plus and we can hook it up for you. $5 a month. You get this one and the other shows on the network, including 5 Good News Stories, which I also host. And hey, let me actually remember for once to plug the Live One show. I host a weekly program on the Live One app. The app is free. The show is free. It's called The Weekly Comedy Thing. It's like this, except if I tell a story about Patton Oswalt, I can play a full Patton Oswalt comedy clip and he gets paid royalties and everything. It's a nice system. So check that out. It is The Weekly Comedy Thing on the Live One app. See you here tomorrow.
It is the world's most secretive election. When a pope dies, ancient traditions begin. A silver hammer, a destroyed ring, over 100 cardinals locked away from the world, choosing the next leader of 1 billion faithful. White smoke. The path to a new pope. From Calaroga Shark Media. Wherever you get your podcasts.
If you're fascinated by UFOs, aliens, ghosts, demons, cryptid creatures like Bigfoot, Chupacabra, and Mothman, then I have the show for you. The Paranormal 60 with Dave Schrader. Each week, we investigate different claims of the supernatural and try to shed light into the darkness, bringing you the top guests and experts from around the world. Enter the fray. Then join me, Dave Schrader, your host, as we investigate all aspects and claims of the supernatural and paranormal. Listen on all of your favorite podcast platforms: Good Pods, TuneIn, Pocket Casts, Deezer, Player FM, Amazon Music, Audible, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, Google Podcasts, CastBox, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Apple Podcasts. The answers to life's biggest questions and miracles and mysteries awaits you. So join me each week, 2 brand new episodes of the best in paranormal podcasting, The Paranormal 60 with Dave Schrader.